life I lose. The tower clock says a 9:30. I cry out, I'm gonna have more time. I see the shadows come down the hall as I sit within these dingy walls. Yeah. Come on home, Gypsy Lee. Come on home, Gypsy Lee. Come on home, Gypsy Lee.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychic Eric here. Acid Archive Diaries number 18 today. But before I begin on this segment, I wanted to also thank you guys for leaving some comments on my last video, the 10-year anniversary being on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. Nice seeing some old folks out there I recognize that hadn't commented in a while. I know you guys are out there, but I just, it's kind of nice to see who's keeping up with these videos, not just the same regular folks. But yeah, it's quite an achievement, Even though I didn't continuously make videos, I kind of off and on made videos early on and then took my little break, as you guys know. And but I'm really enjoying the YouTube platform recently and kind of making up time to push these videos out. And this whole Acid Archive Diaries is kind of nice too, because we can stop what we're doing, stop purchasing, and sort of dive into what we got already, save a little money and still produce some content. So that's what I'm here to do. Kimba, if you guys know, she's kind of a regular when it comes to the live streams, and she's been watching my channel for a little bit, and I think she said she went back in my videos and discovered the Churls. I've always really praised over the years, but I haven't really discussed them in a while, so I figured it would be a good band to spotlight because they really need it. This is the Churls self-titled debut here on A&M. It came out in late '68, and they had 2 records. I'll show the other one. I have their other one here, and I prepped a little bit before I started recording. I got the records out of the sleeves and save a little time maybe. But as you can tell, pretty decent shape. It's got a few tears, a little bit on the spine too, but not too bad, especially for the price I paid for this. So I actually got this one in Lincoln before I moved here. I was still living out in small town Nebraska, and I actually drove the 2 hours just to get this. That's how much, if that doesn't show you how passionate I am about picking up records, give me another example. Yeah, I got this for like 30 bucks at Lefty's Records. His prices are really good. And this is one of those unusual pieces. I had never seen a copy since then in person, so this is getting pretty scarce out there. It's always kind of been scarce, but I just checked Discogs last night and I didn't see any copies, any stock copies for sale. I think there were maybe 3 promo copies for like 150, so grab this if you can. This is really good, and those prices do tell. So, looking at the front cover, looks a little goofy, right? They got this whole Renaissance Fair cosplay thing going on, and I always thought this guy kind of looked like Lionel Richie in his younger days. I've seen some photos. Yeah, they got the deal on A&M through, I think they signed up through Herb Alpert, but it was the Everly Brothers that discovered them while they were touring New York State, or New York City around there. But they're originally from Toronto boys here. And it's funny they don't mention the musicians on the back of this one, but they mention on the second record. Because I was trying to see who the guitarist was, because man, for this time period, I imagine they recorded this in the summer of '68. This has got some pretty crunchy, hard rock and fuzz riffers on here. Really good for its time. I mean, kind of ahead of the time a little bit. So it starts off with a couple tracks. I mean, they kind of venture into some like early pre-power pop moves, not even realizing it. It's got that kind of poppy feel, but it's got the hard rock backing to it. And then the third track's probably one of my, the top 3 or 4 tracks on here. Think I Can't Live Without You. It's got a kind of mid-tempo, kind of strutting kind of beat to it. Really good riff. They do a little homage to Sunshine of Your Love in the middle of the track. And there are a couple softer moments here, maybe a couple. There's a track right after it called Princess Mary Margaret, kind of channeling in that Renaissance fair, Baroque kind of sound a little bit, but it's still pretty tasteful. After that, City Lights, I think it was the track that had the power pop moves. I was like thinking to myself, yeah, this is kind of catchy. It's really, really hooks you in, And then the track right after that, probably the longest track on here, Fish on a Line. I think they kind of channel in that West Coast vibe a little bit. It's pretty jammy, but good kind of jammy. Sounded sort of a twangy, maybe Mad River kind of jam, but maybe not as like on the fringe as they were. Then once you get to side two, got a couple maybe filler tracks. I don't know. They're still pretty good though. The Weeks Go By, Where Will You Be Tomorrow? And I should mention too, there's a couple tracks on here at least that feature uncredited. The Tijuana Brass, Herb Alpert's band, doing some brass sections, but they're pretty faded in the background, but they're still pretty tasteful, really. It's not like any sort of bossa nova kind of style or anything. It just adds a little texture to the particular tracks. And they still rock out. And then once we get to the third track on side two, Timepiece, it's kind of notable for being covered by Blood Rock on their first album, a couple years after this one. It's kind of interesting. Definitely one of the better, heavier tracks on here. Some of the rock and chord progressions are pretty ahead of their time, like I keep saying. It's pretty wild. This came out in '68. And then Reservations, decent track, pretty short. And then great closing track, Gypsy Lee. It's got great use of wah pedal guitar. Some people could maybe say it's filler because it's like a 5.5 minute track and it kind of repeats itself a lot, the same down tempo riffs. But I happen to really love that track. It's got some good crunch to it and nice pummeling drums. Mixed really well for its time too. Nice clarity, nice stereophonic effects, which were kind of hit and miss back in this time period. So overall, I think this is one of those things where it's like we prompt the question, why isn't this getting the Noble Records exclusive? This one definitely deserves a wider audience, and I think Gearson should, or some big label like that, should pick this up. This is definitely worth reissuing. I know they're reissuing Glass Prism. Those originals are still pretty easy to find. It's still nice they're getting the reprint, but this is something I would have, seen if I could resurface this one and get this resurrected. Because I don't think there's any legitimate reissue out there. I don't know if there's a CD. There might be one CD, but there's no vinyl reissue of this one. And it does sure tell, because this is still kind of a sleeper when it comes to the audiences that love stuff like Orphan Egg, or not that they're comparable to them, but it's the same praise. I think this should get the same praise as some of those other underground psych records. And this might have been recorded in New York State too, since that's kind of where their recording studio was, question mark. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, they are from Toronto though, so pretty cool stuff here. Gypsy Lee, Timepiece, and Think I Can't Live Without You. And there's a famous uploader on YouTube who uploads a lot of full lengths. I think the fella passed away, but he's uploaded some great records over the years. The Best Dream I Ever Had. You guys know that uploader? That's the first video you'd probably come across, and it's got quite a few views on there, like 45,000, something like that. So do check it out. The full length is up on there. So yeah, I'll leave some audio samples within the video too, so you get a little taste. Show the label here. Kind of your standard sort of tan A&M there, the Churls. I want to mention the guitarist's name too. I think it was Hal Ames. He wrote most of the tracks, teamed up with O'Neill, who, I'm not sure who that is. I might have to look on the second record here. I'll show that one real quick. And I got this one on eBay years ago, and it was pretty cheap. It was like 10 bucks or so. I think it was just because of the water damage up top. And this second record is called Send Me No Flowers. It's kind of a nice follow-up, you know. I wouldn't say as memorable. Some of the tracks are not as memorable or as underground sounding as that first one. Get a little more mainstream viable. It's got the promo copy there, and that makes all the sense right there. This did not sell back in the day. So yeah, Hal Ames on guitar, vocals, and lead vocals is Robert O'Neill. So those two were kind of the duo behind the work here. I think they released a single in another country, I want to say, and there was a cool picture sleeve of them, cool photograph of the band on there, and I think it's on the Discogs page too if you check it out. But yeah, I do remember the title track being good, but otherwise the songs don't latch on like the first one did. And then pretty much just like any other band, they just quickly dissolved, and they might have had some dispute between the lineup change, because there was like a member who joined in or replaced one somewhere in the mix, and you know, they signed the 2-album deal, and that was it. And I don't really know if they went on to do anything else. I don't believe so. If they did, it's, you know, this is their best work, I would say. And got white label promo copy here. I hadn't played this in a while. I might have to break this out again. So, good stuff there. And that one does not feature an Acid Archive entry, but the first one does. So we'll get our script here. And this is the second edition. Once again, let's highlight that. We do have the bookmark here, and this one's Plaid Room Records. I think I got that in a mailer one time. I can't find my free jazz bookmark. I'm kind of upset about that. Let's see here. All right, here we go. I did read a little bit of this before recording. Toronto, Canada, Churls, 1969, it says in here, but I'm pretty sure it was late 68. It says white label promo exists, and this gets the one rarity. This is from Aaron Malinsky. This Canadian band merges the garage sound of the Ugly Ducklings and the Haunted with a more up-to-date hard rock vibe. There are too many songs, and most of the lead guitar work doesn't go anywhere, but there's also a youthful energy and solid vocal style that wins out in the end. The trippy timepiece blows away everything else on the album, but there are lots of pleasures that reveal themselves with multiple listens. They also released a second album on A&M, Send Me No Flowers, which is less desired and more mainstream in sound, though still pretty good. And I can agree with all of that. I don't know, I think the guitar work's pretty exceptional on this one. I think they go places. It kind of sticks in the same chord structures, but yeah, the vocals are pretty strong too. I forgot to mention, pretty strong vocals by Robert O'Neill. And there might be some like background singing too, which works pretty well. Some backup vocals. Yeah, I can't recommend this one enough, man. This is definitely an Acid Archive entry. This is it's a great piece. Doesn't get too freaky. It's pretty consumable for any listener out there. Pretty straightforward, psychedelic, but yet kind of a hard rocking back to it. So it's a goodie. And with that said, we will let you enjoy the rest of the weekend. Check out the Churls, and we shall see you in the future.